Hello. Hello everybody. It's February 4th, our first Tuesday of the month of February. Hopefully you're here for the VPK Fast monthly provider call. We are very happy to have you. Thank you so much. Ruth and Claudia are here to talk about our topic for this month. I really don't have much of anything. You should be, if not already finished, in the throes of PM2. So please ensure that you're using your reports in the system to review all of your children, making sure that you've gotten everybody within your window. If you need any help with those reports, Jalen is happy to help you. And we have some technical papers we can send over, but absolutely it should be giving your within 7 days of completing PM2, you should be giving those reports, the star parent report to your parents. You'll notice it has that information now about the summer bridge program on there and New Worlds Reading. So encourage parents to sign up for New Worlds Reading. But if you have any other questions with that, I know the TAs and coaches are out there helping everybody, so I'm sure they can support you with that also. I do not have anything else unless you have anything for me specifically. I'm going to let Claudia and Ruth take it away. Ruth and Claudia, thank you so much. We look forward
Well,
to what you're
hello,
presenting today.
everybody. Oh, okay. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. No, go
Okay.
ahead.
So, hello, everybody. Thank you all so very much. Thank you all so very much for being here, taking time out in your busy schedule. Gina, what are you and Claudia seeing on your screen right now? I don't know if it's just my computer or what.
We're
Uh,
not seeing your
we're not
Oh,
presentation
seeing
okay.
yet.
anything.
No.
All right, great. So thank you again, everyone, for, taking your time out to be here with us today. I'm super excited about it. We're going today share a little bit about creating equitable and inclusive learning environments. I'm going to try and bring up my screen here. Bum, 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 bum. Let's see, slideshow.
Yeah,
Let me know when you guys can see that.
we can
We're
see
good.
it.
Okay, so
Now we're good. Mhm.
good.
Yeah.
Creating equitable and inclusive learning environments, which is showing more sensitivity in the classroom. So before we kind of dive into that equitable and inclusive learning environment, we wanted to talk about sensitive educators and what that looks like in the classroom. Um, I jumped right in, Claudia. I didn't give you a moment to say hello. I don't know if you want to say.
Hello, everyone. As Ruth and Gina, very excited to be here in February with this topic that is like, I loved it. As we were in the way, like preparing with Ruth, I love this, and I believe that is going to be a great help around the classrooms, and not even just the VPK, but you as directors there, you can take a lot of information like to spread out of in your daycare.
Okay. So as we were saying, before we jump into that creating equitable and inclusive learning environments, we know that we need to kind of talk a little bit about sensitive educators. And so that's where we're going to start. So sensitive educators, what does it look like in the classroom? As it says there on your screen, they are consistently responding to children and effectively addressing students' questions and concerns and their individual and collective needs, right? We know that sensitive educators, they know their children well, not only academically, but also socially, and so that they're able to anticipate areas of difficulty and provide children the appropriate amount of or levels of success. We know that sensitive educators, they help students to grow and see adults as a source of support, reassurance, and guidance. And they also create learning environments that are safe and supportive so that students feel safe and they feel like they're free to explore and learn everything there that you have for them. So around that sensitive educator, at this time, we want to look at a Teachstone video. It's entitled Helping a Child Who Misses Her Mother. Okay. And so what we're asking you to do is to watch the video. And every time you see a moment that this educator is providing those the sensitive moments to that child when she's being sensitive to this child who is missing her mother, I'd like for you to write or text in the chat box, to write in your chat box what you see that this educator is doing that shows sensitivity. Okay? Everybody got the instructions? You're just going to watch the video and type in the chat box when you see moments of sensitivity.
Good morning. Hi, Madison.
Oh, we're not seeing the
Come on.
video.
Mom's gonna
Yeah, we
go.
don't see the video,
We
Ruth. You
can
might have to
hear them.
end.
Oh, I'm so
Uh-oh.
sorry. Have a good day, Mommy.
Do I hear you say you don't see the video?
No.
No, you have to end, I think, the PowerPoint and then go to where the
Ah,
video is.
okay. Let me try that. See if I can do that.
Yeah, and it's a good time of the year. I know a lot of people is preparing for next school year, so we gotta keep in mind this uh ideas that we're providing today to open up 20, it's incredible, 25, 26. It's already coming.
I am having an issue with that.
You
And
are?
this was a wonderful video that we wanted you to be able to watch and
Mhm,
pick out that sensitive educator.
mhm.
But it looks like
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to do it. So that's how technology is sometimes. But
No.
I will kind of talk you through what was happening in that video.
Mhm.
In the video, the parent had dropped off her daughter. She was
Sorry.
crying, and the teacher immediately went to the child and she picked the child up. She responded quickly to the child crying. She picked the child up. And then what she did is she acknowledged the child's feelings. She said, I see that you're feeling sad. And she empathized with her and said, I understand what you're saying because I miss my mommy too. She verbalizes, the little girl's name was Madison's perspective. She offers the child reassurance and she effectively addresses again her sadness. She then engages Madison in an activity to kind of distract her from what she was feeling. And then she knew Madison well enough to know that her favorite color was pink, and they found some pink markers and pink crayons to do that art activity. And all of those things serve to help Madison feel comfortable and to engage in the classroom activities that she had and to not kind of stop missing her mommy so much. All right. So I'm sorry you guys didn't get to see that video, but it was did show a lot of sensitive uh, things that this teacher was doing to help this child feel comfortable, to feel safe, and free to explore and learn.
Ruth, I enjoyed a lot the video and because sometimes as adults around children we acknowledge feelings but we don't accept the feelings. Like they come from
Mhm.
home, they're crying, and we can see that I see you crying, but then, oh, your mommy is gonna come back soon. Don't worry. So
Right.
sometimes that is not showing sensitivity because we
Mm-hmm.
gotta like feel how they're feeling. They're missing mom. So I really love the video because I, as an educator for so many years in a VPK classroom setting,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I was thinking like, oh, they're too big to be crying. So I I was just dismissing some of my children's feelings. So that reminds me that I'm still around children and they need support, like emotional support. So I love
Absolutely.
the video because that reminds me that. But don't worry, everyone, you're gonna have the links to
Mm-hmm.
watch the videos.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia. And then also too, sometimes when educators will tell a child that's crying or upset, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay, and again, as Claudia said, that's really not showing a lot of sensitivity. It's actually not showing any sensitivity when a child is crying or upset, and we're telling them, that you're okay, you're okay. And so it is very, very important to very important to acknowledge children's um, emotions. So what we're going to do now, we know that learning environments, displays around your classroom, and materials, they help educators enhance the interactions with children. And when we use effectively these strategies, we can also help cultivate an equitable, inclusive, and diverse environment that celebrates diversity. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what equity is in the context of the VPK classroom, in the context of early childhood education. And I'd like for you to type in the chat what this image says to you. What does equity means? What does equity look like in the classroom in the context of childhood education, early childhood education? And so type in the chat for us. What is it? What does this image tell you about equity?
This image, I
And,
love
and
it.
while I'm sharing, Claudia, I can't see the
Oh
chat.
yeah, I'm waiting. Nobody it's sharing anything still,
Okay.
but they will. Don't worry.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, we can learn a lot from this
Mhm.
image because not everyone needs the same.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, we have the first one. And she said that Kim says all of the children have exposure to the field equity. Uh a modification in environment for a child to climb, like creating a ramp. Inclusion, says Amanda. Uh, Cheryl, different people have different needs and must be addressed accordingly. What everyone is, oh, let me, wait. That everyone is included in all aspects of the classroom environment, says Kim again.
Mm.
Very good. Love all these comments.
Awesome, awesome. Absolutely. Different people have different needs.
Yeah.
And yes, everyone is included. And on that equity side, you see everyone is getting what they need in order to see the field clearly. And that's what equity is in our classroom. So equity means that each individual child, whether they're VPK or whatever age, they're provided the same resources and opportunity, right? Equity recognizes that each child has different circumstances and allocates the exact resources and opportunities needed to support good learning outcomes. And so our outcome as educators of VPK teachers is that all VPK students will have all the opportunities to learn and grow and be kindergarten ready. So let's think of this, when we are in our classroom, that we want to have this classroom that's with equity. And a lot of times everyone, they look at equality, and its equity is different. This is a visual image that kind of shows you the difference between equity and equality. Equality is everybody getting the same thing. But as someone said, different people have different needs. Equity addresses that. So creating an equitable classroom is essential for fostering an inclusive and supportive learning environment for all children. With that said, let's look at equity in the classroom. So equity in the classroom. These are some strategies, teachers, educators, that you can use to bring equity into your classroom. So one strategy is to provide culturally responsive teaching. And that means incorporating diverse cultural perspectives into the curriculum. It means using books and activities and materials that reflect the backgrounds of all of your children. So hopefully you are aware of all of the different children's backgrounds in your classroom. And so you're providing
left on her lunch break.
they're providing all of these things. Another way to bring equity in the classroom is differentiated instruction. And so that means and that's nothing new to us as VPK teachers, but that means that you're tailoring your teaching methods to meet the diverse needs of your students. So some might need, visual aids, using as much hands-on activities as possible as opposed to worksheets, breaking tasks down into smaller groups and teaching it on the different levels of children in your classroom. So another way to bring equity in the classroom is to have equitable access to all the resources. So you just want to make sure that all the children have access to the same learning materials and opportunities based on what their needs are. And this includes providing the children with disabilities and those children that might need some extra help from you. Helps to bring equity into the classroom. And then, of course, having positive behavior support. So we're always looking for the positive things that children are doing and commenting on those things and implementing strategies that promote those positive behaviors. And of course, addressing those challenging behaviors that children, will always have or sometimes have in the classroom, but being fair how you address them across the board, right? And that helps to create a safe and supportive environment for all children. And then we have, if I'm following this, we have family engagement or family engagement, of course, is inviting the family into your classroom, or having a parent come in or a guest speaker come in and speak with the children. And then one that is very important in bringing equity into your classroom is professional development. So as educators, that we are continuously educating ourselves and the staff on issues of equity and inclusion. We can attend workshops, we can read literature, we can engage in conversations with coworkers that can give you feedback about the equity that you're displaying in your classroom. And then lastly, having a reflective practice. And that means regularly reflecting on your teaching practices in the classroom, and asking for feedback from your co-teachers and your director about how the equity in your classroom, what's the level of that. So by implementing these strategies, you create a more equitable and inclusive preschool where all the children feel safe, they feel valued, and they feel supported. And one thing that we have to look at when we're working to make to bring equity into our classrooms, we have to realize that we all have biases. We really do. And we just need to acknowledge those biases that we have and work towards, acknowledging them and, making changes as needed so that the children have the best opportunity, they have the best resources, they have the best outcome for learning and growing, um, to be successful, to be ready for kindergarten, as we said earlier. Any questions or comments on bringing equity into your classroom?
I'm checking the chats for that.
Okay.
But I think it's very clear.
Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
So being culturally responsive, leveling instruction, inclusive language, making sure that the children all have access to the resources in the classroom, having that positive behavior support, and then professional development and reflecting on your own teaching practice. Okay, so now let's look at culturally responsive teaching. What does that entail? So culturally responsive teaching involves recognizing and honoring the diverse cultural backgrounds of students and integrating this awareness into your teaching practice. And how can you do that? You can do that by having diverse literature in your classroom. So using a variety of books and stories from various cultures and backgrounds, um, bringing those and at the end of this PowerPoint, there is a list of different diverse cultural and traditional books that you might want to include in your classroom materials to be culturally responsive. And then, of course, providing multicultural activities for the children. So you might plan in your classroom activities that celebrate different cultures. This includes, it can include cooking, traditional foods, learning different dances, celebrating holidays and festivals of different cultures of the children in your classroom. And then, of course, language inclusion, incorporating students' home language into the classroom. So maybe you might label different material in the classroom with different languages so that children feel comfortable and they feel safe and they can see and hear their language, including in the day-to-day activities. And then cultural art projects could be included. I think we said that bringing the guest speakers and community involvement, having parents come into the classroom, having a responsive classroom environment. And that entails decorating your classroom with materials that reflect the diversity of your students, right? Inclusive curriculums that integrate cultural perspectives into all of the subjects or lessons that you might be providing for children. And then again, attending cultural sensitive training, workshops, I think we said that in the slide before, and just really being student-centered in the learning, which is encouraging students to share their cultural background and experiences. And this can be done in a number of ways. So that list of ways that you as educators can be culturally responsive in your teaching in the classroom. And then lastly, by incorporating these practices, you create a more inclusive and engaging learning environment that respects the values, the cultural diversity of each of your students, which is so important to create that safe and supporting environment. All right.
That's true. And I love when we talk about benefits. And I
Mm,
love PBC, the practice based coaching we do. I love coaching when I go to the field. I love that process when we let teachers know the benefits of effective practices in place. So I love that word. And when Ruth was talking about the benefits of culturally sensitive VPK classroom, of course, that's gonna increase the engagement. And
mm,
who I think as teachers, as educators, as directors, as providers, we all want everybody engaged when we go to classrooms. We want everybody participating. We want to see enthusiasm, excitement, like we're doing this and we're excited for this, and looking at those faces, that doesn't have a price. So when we take into consideration all these things, we're guaranteeing that like everybody's gonna be engaged, everybody's gonna enjoy, and that's the point of all of this, enjoyment. So we're gonna be like very wise, using the time for learning purposes. We're not gonna be using the time as, I don't know, about teachers here and directors. Sometimes we feel more like a police officer than an educator, because we're like all like reacting to so many issues in the classroom. But when we provide engagement activities that promote engagement, like everybody will be involved, and that even is going to decrease in your statistics. It is going to show improvement. When we talk about academic achievements, it's going to show improvement too. All what Ruth was sharing is going to show improvement, because you know how in instructional support, why is it important to make connections to previous knowledge, make connections to children's real life, make connections to everything happening around in a real world, that they know they have the experience of that, so they're not going to start something in nothing. Oh, I already know that, I already seen this, I saw that in my country, or I see that, I hear that language in my house, I seen that book in my library, in my, like, things like that are going to play a great role there. And of course it's going to be the great benefit probably was going to be in the positive social development, because we're going to be honoring the different backgrounds. And that's something that we have the possibility to do. So I'm going to be talking a little bit more about what, like, focus more in culturally sensitive classroom, about trained educators. The other day I was coaching in a school, and we have that was a VPK classroom, and they have two RBTs. So it was like four adults, and they had 10 children. So that was peculiar. I went there and I was like asking myself, oh, the ratio is perfect. And then I learned that they were like an RBT, that was another professional there. I think it was another RBT, but it was from different children. And we were having like, we were expecting a class assessment. So we were preparing for that. And we had some behavioral issues. And guess what?
mm,
I called for a meeting, and we had a great brainstorming ideas and how we could cover. So the professionals were almost training the VPK educator in so many strategies that she could use. So a trained educator, it's something that we want in the classroom. We're not saying that we're gonna go to college again and we're gonna learn about how to diagnose a child, because we do not do that. Like we're just gonna be trained in everything. And culture, oh, I was like messing up this because I'm gonna be talking about something else up ahead. But about trained educators, it's not just in behavior, it's not just in like procedures, policies in a school. It's also like sitting down and just learned how many children we have from which backgrounds. So we have children from Hispanic families, Latino families. Probably we have from Europe, from China, from India, from Russia, Ukraine. We have a lot of different cultures and we have to honor them. So when we do that, we have the time again to brainstorm how to prepare all the settings to welcome everyone in different cultures. So we can do that. We can use like a lot of thinking with directors, with other educators, with families, including families, as Ruth was saying. So it's nice to be prepared, to be trained. I think I remember like years ago, I was doing the curriculum for a summer camp, and the title, like we were selling the idea of going around the world. But they were not going to have field trips, not even local field trips, because going to like around the world, it's implying that you're going to go to. But guess what? I went into like a big search, and I was like, it was gonna be, I think, 8 different countries. And I went not just to see about food, about different flags, about languages, languages of music. I went deep in what games do they do there, so we can include that in the playground. What is like the different practice, like art techniques they use. So we were doing that, and it turned out in something like really nice. We have parties, like we have parades. We have like a Brazilian, a parade. It was awesome, but I had to go as educator into prepare myself and train myself to welcome the different countries. So that is something we could do. Community partnerships. When we're talking about community partnerships, we can talk about like organizations that we can use, like nonprofits that work with the community, and that will be like a great work we can do, like search for community-based organizations or nonprofits that work with children and can provide something even for free, and we can just use those services. We can talk about health care providers that can offer supports for families, as in the dental health week we have, and we invite dentists in the neighborhood. We can do that for mental health. We can do that, like community helpers is a great time to do that. So we can, when we talk about the community, we can even partnership and get the cooperation from there. When we talk about local organizations like libraries, I seen in these meetings with Gina, people from the library talking about all the different programs they have for schools, like to take books. Sometimes we're going by different topics, and we don't have like those books in place, like on site. So you can go to the library, and it's not gonna be one day you have to return it tomorrow. No, they could take even a month, and you can get the blue bag and use all those books, and using them in different classrooms, especially in the VPK classroom. So we have in local organizations, we can have mental health agencies that can come and help with different therapies. Where I was working before, we had yoga. They came and they did something really nice to children and adults. In another place that I was visiting, I saw like a minute of peaceful time, like mental health for just educators. And they made a big setup in the lunch room, and everybody was going there for 5-10 minutes and just having a nice break. And we can use that as educators in the VPK classroom. One time of peace, it will be nice to restart. We can use open-ended materials. That means like the open-ended materials, it's like you can adapt the materials. You can use it in different ways to meet the need, not to be equal, but to meet the need of different children. So you can use it in different ways. There is some materials that can be used just in one way. You just assemble this and that's it. But you can be creative and find another ways you can use those materials, like boxes, like STEM activities. You can do that, and that will be culturally helping in your classroom, building and using things, different materials that can be accessible to students in different backgrounds and different ways. And we, of course, have to have like ongoing celebration of cultural diversity. That has to be like something where we honor all the staff. And it's not just like, we were talking like very briefly at the beginning of biases. Sometimes we favor a group more than the other, and we don't even know that. One time I was doing with I think it was reframing challenging behaviors, and they run a bias test. And I was like, no, I don't have any. But yes, I did. And I didn't realize that until I was looking at the results. And sometimes that happened. So when we celebrate, it's not just going to be one culture. It's not just going to be one different language. We have a lot. We have like a rich world to explore and learn from. So that will be about culturally sensitive classroom. You have 2 videos there. We're not gonna play them now, but you can, when Gina sends out the PowerPoint, you can take the time and just play the videos. They're very nice. One of them is a researcher that is talking about the impact of different cultures in the classroom, and it's very nice. So we can just think about that. Now we can change the slide. And so we're going to talk about something that we really need in the classrooms, and it's about special needs sensitive classrooms. When we were planning this topic with Ruth, at the beginning, we thought that we were going to talk about just emotions and how acknowledge feelings and how to be aware and how to address this and that situation. But it's like we found like a world of different ways we can be sensitive in a VPK classroom. And one of the ways is acknowledge special needs students. So every time we go to a classroom, we can feel we don't diagnose, we don't know, we're not doctors, we're not a specialist like that. But we can, by the years, we can even think about some flags that are just showing us that we have the responsibility to detect something and prevent something and have meetings with the team. And by that, I mean the director first. That would be like the first step. I have a concern in the classroom. I can discuss that with the assistant. What do you think? Let's focus on this child. What do you think about this? Let's prove with evidence if that is something that it's really happening, because sometimes we go around and teachers just come, no, this child is this or that. So we have to be very careful and just see if we have enough evidence to just think about something and escalate that to the director. We can discuss that with the director and see what she thinks. And if we have any tool or anything, we're going to be sharing some of them in a moment. And then if it's needed, we can talk to the parents in the parents conference. That's why we have a parents conference, and some schools have parents conference when they're sharing the results of the PMs. In some other schools, they have usually like every 2 months parents conference, just to let parents know how the process is going and having them part of that process. So that is a big responsibility that we have as providers to see in that aspect of special needs. So we can find different things in the classroom. We can have developmental delays, is when a child is not like reaching certain developmental milestone within a expected time frame. So we can be doing observations and checklists and see if, according to the age, this child can be like it's, they just develop in different speeds. Like, some of them speak earlier than others. Some others just walk earlier than others. Some others get some concepts earlier than others. But it's like in all, like the whole idea. So we can be concerned about some developmental delay or a speech or language impairments with the communication. Some communication disorder is affecting a child or children ability to understand or use language, and that can be impacting the ability to speak, listen, write, hearing. I have a story about that. And when this student that I have like years ago came to my VPK classroom, he was awesome, so sweet. And I noticed, like, after the first week, this child was always like at the beginning, kind of fighting with others in the centers. But at the end, after a week, he was playing by himself in the art center. So I was curious, and I was there, like being sensitive teacher, asking, "What are you playing here? You don't want to come with your friends and play?" And what I heard from him and from the friends is like nobody was understanding what he was saying. So they got in a fight because of that. And then he decided to be isolated, like himself. And then so I was like, okay, we're gonna be checking this closely. And to make it short, the story like shorter, I spoke to the mom, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna pay attention to that." And then after like a couple of weeks, she came and she was like, "He's doing a process." And I noticed after you told me that when we were riding the car, I was talking to him and he wasn't paying attention. So I was getting mad. But after you told me that, I noticed that he needs me to face him to speak so he could understand. It's not like he didn't want to listen. He didn't understand what I was saying. So he had a heavy, he had a problem, and then that was addressed, and I was so happy to be doing my job. So sometimes that's our responsibility to think about that. And it could be visual impairments when a child have difficulty seeing things. When you're doing your circle time, when you're showing something, when you're in the playground, you can see someone that is having those problems. And emotional and behavioral disorders, like they're restless, they have problems getting attention, or they show themselves anxious or things like that. Sometimes we think, oh, it's like every child is like that. But we could think if any of those behaviors are affecting their any other like developmental part of the child. He's not learning because he can't pay attention, or he is not sharing with friends because he can't hear, or he doesn't have the ability to speak properly. So that would be something we could see. So special needs sensitive classrooms, it's in the way how teachers can support special needs students in the VPK classroom, individualizing learning plans, getting to know each one and how we can help, what we can provide, what they need. Use one visual supports. That is something that have to be happening in a classroom. A lot of visuals, that is part of instructional learning formats. So that will be a great help. Providing positive reinforcement. Remember, it's not just saying, good job, great, awesome. You have to, that is like a marriage. You have to pair them. Everybody wants a praise, but you need to be specific. What was the behavior, like the good behavior, what they did really good? So you have to describe that. So providing positive reinforcement, collaboration with a specialist. Sometimes they asked us to just fill in some stuff or share a feedback. We can have the space, like a couple of minutes, to share that with a specialist, using a small group instructions, because in a large group you are going to be it's going to be very difficult to detect. So a small group is the best for everything. And using sensory integration. You know what is that? Like when you're really hungry, like now, and before you eating, you smell food, you use the sensor, and then you can integrate everything. So you can use that when you're gonna paint. Don't just go and paint. You can feel the paint. You can do this and that. So we can go on to the next slide, so we can be closing now. Those are observation-based assessment tools that we can have. Probably everybody knows about ASQ, the Ages and Stages questionnaires. And we have some others like Denver Developmental Screening Test, the Early Screening Inventory. We have Childhood Autism Rating Scale, observation and documentations. Those are some tools. You don't have to know that, but if you speak to your director as a VPK teacher, they can get you the help you need. And nonprofit organization, Children with Disabilities in Palm Beach County. You can see we have 5 there: the Arc of Palm Beach County, Easter Seals, South Florida, Abilities of Florida, the Children's Home Society of Florida, Pineapple Grove Wellness and Education Center. So those are some that you're gonna have in your records. So if you feel like you wanna learn a little bit about one of these, you just type it in Google and research, or reach out to your coach and they can get you like more information about one of those, okay? So, and the next one will be an inventory, like a survey about your environment. It's something, some questions that you can ask in your VPK classroom. How you prepare are, you are a yes, yes, but could improve. I could improve this, or not yet. I wasn't considering this. I wasn't considering that. My cozy corner for behavior could be a language break, because it could be like someone learning English can benefits from 2 minutes of language break. So you're gonna have this survey and you can apply that to your classrooms. And that will be the end. Oh, we have the resources. Oh, we're gonna have a training. This training is gonna be in Spanish for now. It's gonna be in April, but it's gonna come up in English. And in English is like tools to support children with special needs in the classroom. This is gonna be facilitated by one of our coaches that is her background is in a special education, so you can benefit a lot of that. That's gonna be, you can even enroll non-VPK teachers. If you are director, you can use this information. And I think that's it for this moment. And we're having books.
We just have some books here. These are 10 books about cultures and traditions. So you might want to take a screenshot, or Gina's going to be sending this to you. But these are some books that you might want to have in your classroom that's going to help your classroom be more, have more cultural and traditional books in it, in addition to the books, the books that you already have in the classroom. So these are some really good ones that you might want to include in the materials in your classroom. And that does in the PowerPoint presentation, and having those equitable and inclusive learning environments and showing more sensitivity in the classroom.
So if you have questions or comments, you feel free to type or unmute this couple of minutes we have.
We do post the recording on our YouTube page, so I will send out the link to the recording and the PowerPoint so that you can check out those videos. Thank you very much for supplying those resources, and the list of books looks really great. I always love to see fun books like that. Anyone have anything else? Just a reminder from those of you that popped in a little bit later, you should be either done with or in the middle of PM2 if you started in August. So please make sure to generate your parent reports and give those to your parents, and be checking your VPK STAR activity report to make sure all students are assessed or have a non-participation status if that's the case for them. If you have any questions, we're here to support you with that. But if we...
You know what will be very helpful? That since you have the PM2, you can run the STAR growth report, and that's going to show you the points your children are growing from the first PM to this second one. So that will be for metrics. That will be very helpful. It's called STAR growth report.
STAR growth report. Thank you. That's wonderful. Good support.
Yeah, because I saw some directors were just adding 12, 12, 12. And I was like, no, there is a report that is going to add that.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we could spend a whole day, I think, exploring reports in the Renaissance.
If you have a lot of children, you will.
Sort of what they do and how you can use them, that's for sure. All right. So anything else from anybody? Thank you so much for joining us, taking your time out today to join us. We really appreciate you. Hopefully you're enjoying your week. I'll stop my recording.